Super. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is John Desjardins. I'm with Clemson University, and I'm the elect Student Affairs Committee Chair for the coming year and into the future. As a continuation of what we've seen this morning, we are going to recognize two chapters in the areas of outreach and mentoring. These are recent new additions to BMES, and it was thought that particular emphasis placed on these two components are critical, and we appreciate the efforts that chapters play in this regard. So we have given the awards yesterday evening to highlight SUNY Stoney Brook's efforts in outreach and the Ohio State University's chapters in mentoring. And today we will hear a little bit more about the activities that they are doing and have more Q&A. And so hopefully that we can take these efforts national. So here are the experts. Ask them all the questions you want. So the Outreach Award is intended to recognize chapters whose activities impact the community outside of the local BMS student membership. This can be K through 12, science days, community events, or BME-related concepts that you extend outside of your chapter. The Mentoring Award is intended to recognize chapters whose activities impact the chapter student membership, as well as developing programs that promote peer-to-peer mentorship as well as professional mentorship, perhaps with impact to industry and the students in that regard. So the process by which you apply for this type of award is very similar to the chapter awards. They're specialty categories, and you simply submit additional materials to be considered for it. So I would encourage more chapters to apply. It's not that much more work, and if you've done all the work already, it's a great way to have your chapter recognized. So with that, we'll get started. I guess the Ohio State will go first.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm with the Ohio State University Student Chapter of Biomedical Engineering. As mentioned earlier, we're doing our mentoring best practices. To start off, I will talk about the value of mentoring, what parties are involved, and what you can do and what you can offer to benefit both parties, considering the mentors and those being mentored. And then I'm going to break mentoring down into two segments, as also previously hinted at. There's peer-to-peer mentoring, which is from students to students, in which you keep the mentoring within your university. And then there's also industry mentoring, in which companies and professionals come to your university and help mentor students, guide them through their careers, help them figure out what they want to do, and make this a mutual relationship in which both can grow. So to start things off, my name is Marty Spang. I'm the president of the student chapter.
I'm Asha Chu, and I'm vice president.
I'm John Collins, and I'm treasurer.
I'm Anya Breklutic, and I'm the professional development committee chair.
Here's our contact information to start things off. Our last slide will also have this, as well as our university email and website. So the value of mentoring, there are a couple things you need to consider when you want to develop mentoring, whether it be peer-to-peer or industry. This slide will cover both and keep it general. You need to consider what the mentees get out of this. They get free guidance and they get free help from the professionals. Many of us have been in a mentoring situation in which we're getting that experience, so that's pretty clear for most of us. For mentors, that's a little bit more challenging. This is an opportunity for them to actually lead and guide someone through their career, whether it be a student career or their professional career in the future. This is a little bit harder to come across, but if you can get their time, it really helps out the mentees. The real value of this program is what is offered to both parties. A program of mentoring develops a network and a sense of community within your department and within your community surrounding your university. It develops a network that students can utilize for the professional, academic, or research goals. It also helps students build communication skills and helps the mentors build communication skills. You work with a variety of backgrounds that will help you in your long-term career goals. As well as there's personal growth and development for both parties. For those being mentored, the mentees, they figure out what they want to do. or at least they get an idea of what they want to do and they try something new. The mentors really guide them through that and help them along with their career, and they develop the skills that'll help both of them. So both parties benefit from that, and I strongly consider you to present that value to both. We're now going to move on to more specifics with our peer-to-peer mentoring.
So our program fundamentally consists of students from all educational backgrounds, where we strive to foster an environment that will allow our students, including our underclassmen, to participate. Note that our underclassmen, our freshmen, are not accepted into the program yet. So we function under the essential mission statement of creating an educational and social network within BMES to assist students into the professional future and beyond. So with that comes some keys to success. One of the things we realized is that a lot of time in school you have a really busy schedule with classes or other activities going on. So we created a flexible but independent scheduling system, meaning that we have a meeting twice a week with the exact same content, so students can come to either meeting and not miss out. By doing this, we're hoping that more students are able to get plugged in to the program, as well as opening our doors and welcoming everyone and anyone to the BMES chapter. Another key to success is with all these meetings, we need a leadership team. So we've created a multi-tiered leadership team where we have a couple of BMES officers who oversee the operations within the mentorship program, where we push to lead and motivate a elected team. This elected team consists of a junior, freshman, and sophomore coordinator, and these people represent the face, and they are also the point contact people for their class. Because who better to talk to about what you want out of a mentorship program but someone in your own class? So they give us feedback about what their class wants and hopes to get out of the program. So by constant communication with our members, we hope to continually take steps into the forward direction.
So another one of the key aspects of our mentorship program is redefining the typical mentorship program. So typically in mentorship programs you have one mentor paired with one mentee, and they share their experiences, talents, unique skill sets, and guide them. What we hope to do is expand this lone person dynamic by expanding it to a more group scheme. So what we have offered is a group of mentors pairing one mentee to provide them with different contacts and networking abilities that they might have to best benefit the mentee in the situation. Another key important part of that is to instill initiative into both the mentors and the mentees. The mentees are really seeking to benefit from this program, so by having them seek out mentors who might best benefit them, we instill in them the impetus to take direction with their career socially and academically. And then also from the mentor's perspective, we instill in them the opportunity to pick out mentees that they know their skill sets will best benefit and who their experiences are most apt to. So the way in which we utilize this redefinition is through a system of student profiles in which we partition our mentors based on their post-undergraduate career plan, so industry, pre-graduate program, pre-medical school program, and then also for mentees who are new to the program, who are just seeking out other friends in the program, and networking opportunities and getting to know the people who are in their classes, who they'll be working alongside with for their freshman design and their senior design, as well as their 4 years of undergraduate. So going along with that, within this interactive matrix, the students can select the career path of their choice and find various mentors who can help them. And then we utilize the profile system, which this is my own, which describes your academic interests in the 6 different domains of study that Ohio State offers, as well as your program of choice following undergraduate. And then also a brief profile, because it's really crucial. Another aspect is to establish unity, as we talked about. And then making it easy to contact both mentors as well as mentees, so that the dynamic of finding people within the program who pair well with you is easily achievable. And here, as you can see, we help to establish a strong unity of our members by utilizing the networking scheme previously described.
So as Marty mentioned before, in addition to peer-to-peer mentoring, we also have the industry mentoring between students and employers. And what we've found is that these events, only next to career fairs, are the best way to instill professionalism in your student body and to establish long-lasting and very, very valuable relationships with the recruiters. So, as Marty said again, the benefit to the mentee or the students is a little bit more easier to see. They get to meet with the recruiters one-on-one, which means they get to stand out, they get to be remembered more, and they get very valuable advice on resumes, interviewing skills, and establish those relationships that will all be very essential in helping them get an internship, an interview, a job, whatever they're looking for in their career path. With the employers, you might wonder, well, why do they want to do this? They're actually very, very eager to do these types of events because we provide them access to the best and most motivated and most talented students. So they get to meet the types of people they want to see working for their company. And in addition to that, they get to mold them because they talk to them about the company culture. They suggest resume building activities that will fit in with the company. They mold them into the type of leader that's necessary to lead the company. So that's the main benefit for the company, that through this interaction, they are forming the generation they want running the company in the future years. We have three biggest types of events. One is an on-site event or, facility tour where students get to see firsthand what does an engineer do on a daily basis, what is the company culture, and kind of decide, do they really want to work there or in a similar environment. Then we have workshops like resume reviews, where employers review resumes and critique them on the spot, one-on-one usually. And finally, our biggest and most popular category is the direct networking, where we have our networking night. And I will go into details of networking night in just a second. But the reason these are our biggest events is that it's really simple to set them up, set them up through emails, and usually you can use classrooms or event spaces that are free of charge for student organizations to hold them. So you don't have to go out of your way to find a space for them. So networking night is basically an opportunity to casually network with the companies. And we focus on just inviting BME students and companies, but we do know that, different companies might be interested in BME, like even consumer products or consulting ones, and that students might be interested in going outside of BME. So we try to accommodate for that diversity by including everybody, but emphasizing our major. We also try to make it really convenient for the companies. So we hold it the night before the career fair because they will most likely already be in town the night before. And the general assumption is if they're attending the career fair, they have a high interest in your student body. So they will really, really want to be there. The advantage of having like a smaller casual networking event before the career fair is that the recruiters, haven't been on their feet all day. They're not cranky, they're not rushed. They have more time to spend with each student and really have a conversation. And the student is also more comfortable because they don't feel like they only have a minute to impress somebody, but they can really take their time and just really form a relationship with the recruiter and be remembered. And then, next day, if they come to the career fair and talk to the recruiter again, it's even better. They will get more face time, establish those relationships that will really be essential when it comes to that student turning in a resume, because there will be a face with that resume. Also, in addition to all of these great benefits, to the students, to the company, you don't even most likely have to pay for the event. So because you're providing companies with access to an elite group of students ahead of time too, so they don't have to wait another day to meet these students, they will actually sponsor the event and cover the cost of the event most of the time. So you have nothing to lose by organizing this. You're not taking resources away from any other events you want to host. You just have great relationships to gain. I'm going to go over a little bit how to organize a networking night. So if you're interested in hosting a similar type of event, kind of have to plan for it because you have to start planning about 6 months ahead of time. So definitely 6 months ahead of time, you want to think about when will it take place, where, and what time. The when is kind of easy if you decide to hold it before the career fair, because the night of the career fair is set, you just hold it the night before, and you have the date. We like to hold ours in the evenings, just because we find that then recruiters, if they work in the mornings, they're available. Students mostly have classes, in the mornings, late afternoons. But if your class dynamic is different, feel free to hold it during the day. We just found that evenings work best. And we also found that 2 hours is about the perfect duration, because anything less, then the recruiters get rushed again, there's not enough time. But over 2 hours, they get tired and they just don't want to be there anymore. So that's the general idea of the duration. With rooms, it will depend on your university. For ours, we have a lot of rooms that are free of charge to student organizations. So not just classrooms, but we have big event rooms that are a little nicer layout. So we're able to rent those free of charge. But if you can't get that, see if you can have a larger classroom where you can move the tables around, or some kind of atrium, or just talk with your university to see what kind of free accommodations they can get you to hold this type of event. Then, a couple months later, you want to start drafting a professional email to be sent to the companies. Definitely introduce yourself, introduce your organization, what you guys do, invite them to the networking night, giving them the details of when it takes place, and then end with some impressive statistics. So whatever it is that your chapter has to offer, whatever makes you stand out, is it a high GPA, high percentage of minorities, very high involvement in leadership or outreach activities, anything that will convince them that this is where they should be. We also like to make a flyer that you can see an example of here, because it's an easy way to summarize who, what, when, where, details of the event, or if a company has attended the event previous years, they don't have to read the whole email, they can just see what interests them the most in an easy way. You want to start sending the emails out about 2 months before or 3 months before the event, because the big companies will get taken up soon. So, another student organization might be doing a similar thing, and they'll contact the big companies too. So you want to get to the big companies first. And then once companies start signing up for the career fair, the smaller ones that you don't know necessarily will show up, you want to get that list if you can, and just email those companies as well. And just continuously email as more companies sign up. And try to get emails to as many companies as possible, and then see how many show up. An important thing with emails is to follow up. So a lot of companies actually will not even look at your email unless it's been sent out at least twice, because they want to see you're actually really interested in them. You're dedicated. You really want them to show up. So don't give up if they haven't replied. Follow up with them, couple of times, but if they haven't replied after 3 emails within 3 weeks, then they probably don't want to come. Once you have all those emails sent out, it's time to think about the food and the room layout. So that means, how many tables do you want to have? If you have food, where will the food be? Where will the companies sit? Where will the students sit? Will you have cloths and linens on your tables? Just all the logistics of kind of what the room will look like, so it's physically appealing. With food, it might be trickier the first time because you don't know your attendance, but it's always safe to plan, some types of appetizers for about 50 people, and as you have the event, you will get an idea of attendance and how much food to order. About a week before, 3 weeks before, send out the emails to students, because you want people to show up to the event, right? So you have to inform them, when is the event taking place, what is the benefit, which companies are coming, and definitely encourage them to dress business casual so they're representing your university well, and encourage them to print resumes in case companies are looking over them. Then a week before, follow up with your company that is attending, make sure that they have everything they need. Send them driving directions to the building the event takes place at. Send them a map of the building so it's really easy for them to find the room and send them an itinerary of the event. So when do they need to show up? When will the students show up? When does the event end? So they know how to plan their time. The day of, you definitely want to arrive there at least 15 minutes, if not half hour before the company is supposed to show up, because they might show up early and you don't want them arriving before you. That'll reflect poorly on your organization. So just err on the side of caution and show up before they are supposed to. When they arrive, just take them to their table, talk with them, and make sure they have everything they need. It would also be good to have name tags, for the students, just because that makes the introductions easier. And afterwards, the day after, make sure you send thank you emails to everybody and, say you would like to continue this relationship for the years to come. And if you had any bills to take care of, definitely make sure that's paid as well. So I know that was a lot of information and a lot of details, but feel free to email any of us. So our email addresses are there. Our society email address is there as well. So any questions that you have after the Q&A session, or we'll be walking around today. So just if you see us, feel free to stop us and check out our website too, just to see what we do, what we are about. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Mariana Miranda and I'm the Secretary of Stony Brook BMES.
Hi, I'm Arlie Clavel and I'm the Outreach Chair of BMES in Stony Brook.
And we're here to talk about our outreach program, and we want to start with why is it important to have an outreach program. And what we want to do is bring science and engineering concepts that kids see every day in their lives but they don't understand to a simple concept that they can relate to it and be able to think, this is what I like, this is what I want to do. So we would just want to bring science and engineering to a simple way that students from second grade to high school can understand. We also want to raise awareness of social and medical issues. So for example, Arlie's going to talk about our lupus drive. So we want to bring ways to fund or give awareness to certain diseases that are out there and need research. And we also want to use the knowledge that we're learning on classrooms and apply it to the real world so we can inspire and motivate all these young children about science and engineering. And most of all, we want kids to understand what it is science, what is engineering. Because as we went out there, we realized that a lot of minorities didn't feel like they could be engineers because they're too poor, because their school is not good enough. So we want to bring students the idea that if you have dedication, you can do anything you want. Sorry. Sorry, I'm nervous. You can see that, right? So the personal experiences that we at Stony Brook gather from all of these outreach events was that, first and foremost, we had an improvement in the relationship between us members. Since we had to go out there and drive, since we had to plan these, we realized that the members of the BMES at Stony Brook were getting closer to each other. And that was very important because we are friends in the classroom, absolutely, but it stops at the learning. But with these events, we were able to become friends and trust each other. And we saw that improve the chapter in itself. And the thing that impressed us the most is that for these students that went there and did this outreach event, we saw that it improved their confidence level. It improved their leadership of how to be all these things that they need to be. And also we saw how it motivated our students to attend more events. Because as we all know that it's very hard getting people to go to events, especially us that we have a small department. But the thing that we were proud of the most was the direct impact that we had in our community, because Long Island we have a lot of, how can I say this? Underrepresented areas, and they need a lot of shining light in education-wise. So what is our mission? We want to strengthen the bond between the individuals of Stony Brook BME to our community. We want to instill a sense of leadership and responsibility in our students But the thing that we want the most is to improve ourselves, because it's out there that we realize how can we do the things that we want to do, what we learn in the classroom, and apply it so we can know exactly what we're doing. Oh. Sorry, I am screwing everything up today.
So I was going to go over the types of outreach. We have 3 main categories. We have campus workshops, community projects, and charity events. Okay, step. So the best way to show our projects are through pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words. So the top left picture is an example of an event that we hold. I think I skipped a slide. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, I did. There. Campus workshops. So we have the SBU Spring Science and Arts Expo. We have Earth Stock, and we have the Science Expo for 5th graders. So through the pictures, I will explain each event. The top left is the Stoney Brook Science and Arts Expo. Each society was asked to come up with an event that is open from ages 7 to high school to even your alumni and your professors. So it's very challenging to find an event that can be available and accessible to all these age groups. What we came up with was explaining properties of materials through silly putty. So I hope everyone's familiar with silly putty. It can explain viscosity, elasticity. It's really simple to make. All you need is Tide detergent and glue. So it was very economic, and it got the idea across. And it was really a fun event for everyone on campus, and especially for the 7-year-olds that came to visit us. The event on the bottom left is the Earth Stock. Our university holds an Earth Stock Expo, where again all the clubs are encouraged to provide seminars or events that are geared towards the earth and alternative energy. And being BME majors, we focused on a GMO talk, genetically modified organisms, and their impact on society, how they have developed throughout the years, and open discussion at the end between the community that showed up to the event. Oh, it's open to everyone in the university and everyone in the surrounding area. So anyone can come and bring in classes to sit, and we explain to them what the organisms are, how the process of genetically modifying things takes place, and pros and cons. And it's an open discussion at the end where they can ask us questions, or we can ask them questions and ask them what their opinions are on these topics. The picture on the right is our 5th graders talk. So we are explaining to them with a little simple robotic machine that we made, the properties of electricity and circuitry. We asked them how a motorized robot moved around and how it worked, and I was really impressed by their knowledge. They were saying, oh, gears and motors, and they were throwing out a lot of terminology that we didn't expect them to. They asked us a lot of questions too. So it was really interesting to see how advanced they are at such an early age, and how we kind of take it for granted that this enthusiasm that they have at such a young age gets lost along the way when they get older. So we want to keep that enthusiasm through these programs. The next is community workshops. So previously I explained things that were on Stony Brook campus. These are on-site workshops. So we physically move from our campus to schools and to middle schools and high schools. Some of these examples include the Y STEM Prep, 2nd Annual Girls in Science and Engineering Program, and the Country Road Primary Center. Again, with pictures. On the top left, we have the silly putty activity again. This time it was in Brentwood High School, and we talked to a group of underrepresented minorities and low-income housing individuals. And again, it was paired with Ys, so it was women. As we know, it's really important to instill in the youth that even if you are a woman, even if you come from local income housing, even if you're a minority, these things should not deter you from pursuing science, but should motivate you even more, because you've had to overcome these adversities, and you have inner strength that can propel you forward. And we tried to answer as many questions as they had regarding financial aid and regarding difficulty in classes, and it's really not how they put it, I'm not smart enough to do this. It's not about how naturally smart you are. I imagine that without work behind it, you can't improve yourself and you can't move forward. So we tried to hit these points while we were with them. On the bottom left, we have the elementary school Lego League, and we were showing them a robot that we put together, and they showed us their robot too, so we were really impressed with them. They also are at a very young age where they're impressionable, and they love science and they love engineering, and we really want to preserve this enthusiasm and excited sense of exploration that they have. And on the right, we have an intrepid visit where we explained, again, the same robot that we showed the fifth graders, but also fluid dynamics through a glass slide. We wrote on a Sharpie marker and we passed through a fluid that went through the outlines, and we're explaining how, like the properties of fluid dynamics if the lines are very far apart, how the flow rate happens if they're really close together, the difference in flow rate. So it's something that's really economic for us and really inexpensive for us to produce, but also very educational. The final category that we performed was charity events. So we did a holiday toy drive on our campus, and we also did the Lupus Foundation drive. The holiday toy drive is pretty self-explanatory. We went around campus collecting toys or donations to buy some toys, and as we were giving out the toys to the children, we also were trying to get them, again, inspired to promote science and to pay attention in their science and math classes. And the Lupus Foundation drive we started last semester. So the Lupus Foundation drive, this is our poster that we had around campus. I came across it when we were looking up, brainstorming for different kind of charity events. It's a very, very special event to me, and it's very easy to organize. All you need to buy are a few boxes, and that's it. So I encourage every campus to at least try it. All you have to do is go to your resident offices and quad offices, ask them to set up the boxes, and just monitor when the boxes start filling up with donations. Donations can vary from clothing, it can vary from knickknacks or extra dorm equipment that you have lying around. Especially when the graduate students move, they don't want to take everything with them back to their home. So it's really something that everyone can do, and I really promote it, and I really would like everyone to at least try it, maybe for a semester or towards the end of a semester when moving occurs. And along with the Lupus Foundation drive, we included various links to what lupus was and how donating impacts research. It's a nonprofit organization, so really it's important to just help out and try it out. I would like to share with you some of our future directions that we are working on this semester. We have 2 new programs I'm really excited about. We have Letters to Soldiers and St. Jude's Up Till Dawn. So I'll explain Letters to Soldiers. In our department, we have 2 faculty members that have family members in the Army and in the Navy, and we wanted to bring our faculty and our students closer together because this is a common topic between many people when they have people in service in their lives, and we wanted to kind of boost the morale. And around holiday time, we're going to do one in Thanksgiving and one in the major holidays to kind of just write letters, get the community together, make some happy cards and send candy. So it's nothing really too complicated again. And it's something that also helps bring us together and gives some positive energy. The next program is one of our major campus collaborations that I'm currently working on, St. Jude's Up Till Dawn. It's a really simple event. You have 6 teams. Each team has to raise a minimum of $100 to be donated to the St. Jude's Children's Foundation. And you challenge each other to stay up the whole night. I'm sure that's not challenging for us because we've probably done that on our own. But this time it's for a cause, so we should be extra motivated. The team that has all their members stay up successfully until dawn. They get a prize that we're going to provide to them. And if you document it well and you have a lot of pictures, you can send them to St. Jude's, and they like to show off all the people that helped during their program. So it's a good PR for your school, and it's a good cause, and it's really fun. We're doing it with other engineering societies, so it's kind of a society rivalry. And we are also expanding our collaborations. On our campus, we have Stony Brook Hospital, and they have a blood drive group. We also want to spread more information on the blood drive, its importance, and maybe try to get some of our members to volunteer. Also with platelet drive, it's really important, and if you have access to a local hospital or something like that, it's really important to start maybe collaborating more. We also are expanding our on-site lectures for our local schools. We're going to work with Brentwood Elementary School and again the Countrywood Elementary School on our Mad Scientists. So it's around the end of October, Halloween themed. We're going to make some goo projects with cornstarch and water, again explaining viscosity. And it's really something just after school that's fun and safe, and to again promote science and keep that interest that they have at such a young age and propel them forward to continue and pay attention in their science and math classes.
So to close off, like I said, we are a small campus, but like Margaret Mead said, never doubt the power that a small group can make on a society, and that's what we saw. When I did the WISE talk, I was impressed with how many of these girls came to me later. And first of all, they said, I didn't know girls could be engineers. And that pained me, because, you know, it's hard, but don't ever doubt yourself like that. And that's what we were trying. We were trying to make people change their mind of what it is to be a scientist, what it is to be an engineer. And that's very important to us. And like Winston Churchill said, and I love this quote, we know that our profession is going to be engineering. We know our profession is going to be science, but we want to make a living. So that's why we're out there talking to these kids, because that's how we're living. Working and studying is one thing, but we have to bring that what we're doing and take it out there, because that's how we're going to make a change. I don't doubt that all the work that we're doing, the research, that's going to save a lot of lives, but we also have to think of the people who are coming up after us. So that's what we're trying to do, ignite that spark, to see them taking what we started up to another notch. So I hope, we want to acknowledge all these people who helped us so much with the outreach. First of all of our students at Stony Brook who went to all of these events and helped us. Dr. Encheva, who was our advisor, and Dr. Wayan, who is now our advisor. Dr. Frame and Dr. Rubin, who are the chairs of our department. Jessica, Nubia, and Ann, who were secretaries, and they helped us hunt after people, emailing them, please come to these events. Also, all the BME Stony Brook faculty that helped us, and the Stony Brook CEAS and USG who funded us, because as much as we have heart and we want to do this, unfortunately you need money at the end of the day to make any of these things happen. And also Dr. Rebecca, who chose us to win this award. Thank you so much for that. And Jennifer Edwards, who responded to our million emails, because we have 1,000 questions about this. So if you guys could, this is our email. Check us, this is our website. Please check this out. If you have any questions, our email is in there too. And if you guys have any more questions, here we are.
Thank you.
So for the industry mentoring, it depends on the event, because we have different types of events, and it just depends on their availability. So, for example, we have 2 mentors from a medical device company that have been coming to us on a consistent basis. So at least 3 or 4 times a year, we have events that we hold with them. So really, it just depends on how many representatives are able to come. It'll depend on the company. And the incentive, again, is just the fact that they get access to, you know, some of the best students on campus, because not every student is motivated equally, but the ones who are motivated will be more likely to attend these events. And so they know that they will be talking with students who are interested in their company, and they won't be wasting their time, but they will actually be gaining it by getting to meet those students and kind of giving them advice that will help them when they start working for their company.
Sorry, I can also add to that question. The question was about our industry mentors. How many do we have and how frequent or consistent they are with our events? Again, as Anya said, it varies from year to year. Usually the mentor, it's not as formal as our peer-to-peer mentoring program where we keep track of all the mentors and all the mentees, but it's mostly on the mentees to develop those relationships and kind of maintain those relationships. I've maintained an industry mentor for almost 3 years now, just by sending them an email once a semester. And it's these relationships that makes these people come back. But that, again, that always depends on the company resources, whether they can fly the people out or if they're even coming to that career fair.
This is for our OHI's group. The networking night, how many of those companies are biomedical device related? Usually at our career fairs, it tends to not include that many biomedical device companies. Are there companies that specifically go to your networking event? Can you elaborate on that?
So the question was about the networking night, how many companies are actually the biomedical companies, because it seems like at career fairs they're not as well represented as the other ones. So we have a couple, so it's not an overwhelming majority, but you have to think outside of the box. So if BME is, a new major at your university and you haven't established your reputation yet, you can't just stick to straight, BME medical device imaging company. You have to think about, other companies who might be interested in biomedical engineers. So we have consumer products companies, there are consulting companies that also hire BMEs. So we have about maybe 1/3 will be biomedical companies and the rest may be related fields. Also look into mechanical engineering companies, because our experiences at career fairs, there are a lot more of them, and they may not specifically say they recruit biomedical engineers, but they do a lot of related stuff. So just kind of look into other related majors, also chemical engineering or material science engineering. You just have to work with your career services. Like, that's also a very valuable resource, just to see what companies are hiring what majors. You can also look up what they do, and just judging by that, kind of invite the non-traditional BME companies that can still apply to your students.
Thank you.
I have a question for outreach. Can you guys give more detail on the kind of activities that you school students have found to be most effective?
Okay, so the question was a further explanation of what events we do and what methods are most effective for grade school? Yeah, okay. So the events that we offer are very hands-on events. I feel that if you try to lecture 5th grade and under, they won't pay attention very well. But if you do a quick lecture that's very animated, have a lot of PowerPoint slides that are really bright and gets their attention, the hands-on activity afterwards, as they're performing it, you ask them a lot of questions. The one that worked best for us was the silly putty. We did that again and again because it was fun, and it really got the viscoelasticity processes and properties in their heads, and they were learning, hey mom, look at the new word I learned today was viscoelasticity, and this is how it works. But the main points that I can recommend are a project that is very hands-on. You can Google search many projects that maybe your budget is more than ours. You can do more complicated activities. Have something where it's constant interaction, so you constantly ask them questions about what's happening, what they're going to observe. They're very structured in their classes right now, where they're doing the scientific method of hypothesis. What can I observe? What details can I get from this? And also try to give them a real-world application at the end of it. With those kids, they're really smarter than you think they are, so don't underestimate them and the caliber of questions that they have for you. So
We had past events where we got candy and we made DNA molecules out of candy with Twizzlers.
Dots and Twizzlers.
Yeah, dots and Twizzlers, and we even mentioned how we got different colors of candy and how certain colors only attach to others. So bringing science terms and just, simplifying it enough that kids can understand. We also, using dots and toothpicks, we build bridges where later on the kids were able to put books, and the winner who's,
Held the most books.
held the most books, and that's us bringing forces and
Stress and strain.
strain to kids. And we found that those were very successful because kids love competing with each other. So, whoever built the best, that's what they liked.
So events like that, very hands-on and very interactive.
I had a question for the Ohio State group. Can you guys just explain how it is that you solicit sponsorship from your corporate partners? Like, do you send out a sponsorship package? Do you shoot them an email? And how far maybe in advance of your event? I know you mentioned 3 months. Is that when you contact them about sponsorship?
So as far as networking night specifically, we are very straightforward about the sponsorship. We mention it, so we put it on the flyer, and we also mention it in the initial email. Or if they respond saying they're interested, we say, we just wanted to make sure that you're aware there is, a fee to attend, just because we don't want any kind of uncomfortable situations where they find out they had to pay afterwards and then they don't want to attend. But we also, what we've started doing this year is actually forming a sponsorship packet to go beyond the networking night. So we worked very closely actually with the university outreach person who gets to, talk with companies on a daily basis. So we actually sat down with them, I think for 3 drafts. They edited our sponsorship packet just from the perspective of what does a company look for. And we will be sending those out to companies on a rolling basis, actually, throughout the year. So unrelated to networking night, just to sponsor other types of either mentoring events or just informational.
Are they always event specific though, or do you ever ask for funding just for your club in general?
We try to make them event specific just to give them some kind of benefit, because at least that's what we were advised to do by the university outreach chair. We have to give them something to convince them it's worth giving us money.
This is for Ohio State, for the networking, the industry. How do you actually get the industry to participate? Do you email them, send flyers? What are other ways that you go about doing this?
So the question was, how do you get industry representatives to networking night? How do you inform them about it? How do you invite them? So we start out we do most of it through emails. So we start with any alumni connections we have or any people we have met in previous networking events, or sometimes we have our Women in Engineering group has a Women in Engineering seminar where various speakers come. So any contacts that we've gathered personally, we try to hit those first. One big thing, though, that we've noticed with those is if contacts were obtained a year ago, double check they still work at the same company, because we've had a situation where an alumni moved companies and we didn't know about that. So if we hadn't checked, we would have never gotten a response. So start with that, and then our career services office is also very helpful in providing the contacts because they work with them regularly, and so even having them send emails on your behalf, that's a good way to get the companies out there. Also, just if there are companies, at the BMES conference, for example, you could talk with them, just straight up say, this is the type of event we're interested in starting. Is that something your company would be interested in? So you can mention it at any networking opportunity you have, but we go through email mostly.
I'd like to also add to that, we actually have a 2-tiered attack as well. We work with our department, and we actually talk to our department about what's going on and what's happening, and they've actually sent emails on our behalf about what our program offers and what our students have to offer as well.
To also add, I think every recruiter or every company info session you go to, remember those people. You're going to see them over and over again. So always write down their email, get their contact information, and follow it up. I also think it helps to add if you take yourself out of the situation. If you're representing a group as compared to yourself, a company will take you a lot less. You come off as less aggressive because there's common misinterpretation that you're doing this for your own benefit as compared to a group benefit. So I challenge you to make that clear whenever you're approaching a company.
I have a question for Stoney, Brook. About how many school events do you usually do per year?
So he asked how many school events we do per year.
Okay,
Okay, so every year, depending on the size of our e-board and how many volunteers we have in the beginning, we plan according to semester. So in the spring semester, are you talking about just outreach or in general?
With outreach.
With outreach? Okay, so outreach, we try to do at least 1 or 2 events every month. So that per semester is about between 3 to 6 events. And we try to stay somewhere manageable around 3 or 4 events per semester. It's really challenging to coordinate everything amongst all our other events and school events. But what works best for us is planning it out over the summer and then having an outline of what we would like to do. We also keep the contacts of the elementary schools, and we also plan with what the university has already planned. So if they're doing a science expo, then we ask them, can we also have a booth and do an activity there? So we like to collaborate also with other engineering societies that also have outreach events, just so we can help them out too. About contacting the elementary schools, really, we do it through personal contacts, so I still have contact with my high school, and other members probably have contact with their local schools, and that's how we go about emailing them and asking them if they're interested in any of our events. So to sum up, we usually have in a year anywhere between about 7 or 6 outreach events.
I have a question for OSU about you said user profiles for like different BMES members, or just the members of y'all's group. I was wondering, like, how does that work? How do you get people to sign up, and how do people interface through that to get paired up?
So we have an annual kickoff meeting, which all of the members of our chapter come to, and we have them indicate what specific involvements they would like to have throughout the year. So from that, we generate an email list of all the people who are interested in mentorship, and we ask them to come to our mentorship kickoff meeting at that point. And the people who have expressed interest again, who have continued their involvement, we ask them through email to send us a profile.
We usually send out a basic template too, just to make it easier on them, and we try to make it as simple as possible because no one wants to write like a lot. So just like the basic information and contact information.
So students can be really crazy sometimes. How do you make sure that they kind of go along with the test? That's really
So go for it.
You get it?
Go for it.
With the multi-tiered leadership team, we have implemented like a freshman, a junior, or 2 freshmen, and because we have a larger freshman class, a sophomore and a junior. And by doing this, these are the people that are going to be in their class. They're the ones who are sending the emails, so they know all the faces of their class because we have a 75 there's 75 class that caps off, so they know all of their students. And so most of the time, they'll send their emails out, and if a couple of them are not, like they'll target them, be like, hey, are you still a part of the program? Like what's going on? And usually we get on the ball on that.
Also, as we stated in the presentation, we have multiple events, the same event multiple times per week, because as you said, students are very busy and prone to flaking. So by having the event multiple times per week, even if they can't make it or they forget, they're reminded of the event coming up again in the week.
We also take meeting notes and send out anything that people have missed just so they are up to date, and even if they don't come, they're not like left out of the program. They're like, oh, we talked about this last week. No, they're still within the loop by taking meeting notes and stuff.
I have a question for outreach. We have Engineering Expo in the spring with the whole School of Engineering, and so BMES has a room, and we have the option of doing either a display or a competition. Have you guys had any good experiences with competitions that you have presented to students, and then they come in a few weeks later and compete against different schools?
So the question was, when we have a university event, how we deal with competitions and that we host, right? Hosted competitions? Okay. So in our university, we have like the engineering barbecue and all the engineering kind of students come out. And we have our BMES booth. We usually hold a competition during the allotted time. Is your competition not on the same day or over various days? Just to be clear.
about 2,000 elementary to high school students, and they compete against each other throughout the day. So it's
Okay.
just, they prepare before that and come and compete day of.
Our experience with competitions on day of, when we have projects, we try to separate. We don't have that large a size as you guys, but I imagine space might be an issue, and the actual object that you're trying to reach in that competition itself. But what we do is that we try to maximize the space that we're given and try to have multiple stations, so that way everyone has something to be doing at the time. We also try to set time limits for how much time limits, and also like equipment limits, so that way we have enough things to work with and enough time to work with them. And judging, we usually have a very straightforward method of judging. So when we were making platforms with gumdrops and toothpicks, when we were balancing the books over the platforms, it was pretty clear like who won from that and whose structure survived. So we try to stay with projects that have very clear physical winners at the end of it. We also do a creativity, so if they had a different approach, we also try to encourage that also in the way that we give out prizes. So we have the actual physical resilience of your structure, we have how creative you were, and also teamwork is another big one. So how well they worked in their group. We try to, depending on the age of the students, if they're under 5th grade, we try to, they pair off on their own, and we don't want to separate them from their friends in a different environment. If they're older than 5th grade, we try to pair them up with different people, so they have to learn how to work with each other when they don't know who their partners are. That usually gets them working faster, because they have a common goal rather than sitting and chatting about Justin Bieber. So we really try to enforce time restrictions, having events that have a very clear physical winner, and trying to do projects that are manageable in short spaces and between a lot of structures. So that's what we focus on.
Well, we have to wrap up this session here. You can interact with them at your leisure afterwards. In general, as a society, we are really trying to make sure that these best practices and just the experiences of the different chapters are being shared more readily. Everyone here taking notes, that's great. And so the more that we can encourage that, the better off we are. And so as a society, we're also looking to find other avenues to have this sharing and interaction take place. So, you know, you sitting out there and them sitting up here, that's one great way as well. But, you know, we have booths downstairs for all the different universities, and having these kinds of interactions at events or even projects displayed, you know, your booth isn't just about your department, but it's also about the students within it. So we will be promoting that more and more, and maybe even having, you know, these projects displayed so that you can see them, take them home, projects in a box, essentially. So thank you again for sharing with you.